All right, welcome everyone to the fourth RobotPerf weekly meeting. Let's, as always, start with the minutes. So I'm sharing those in the chat. And let me also share my screen and get started with that. Here we are. All right, so we had a few actions from last week. So just noting down, we have advanced a bit on our side with the continuous integration pipeline. As reported last time, we're focusing on AMD and NVIDIA, FPGA and GPU SoCs for starters, and we will be scaling to more platforms. Last week, we pushed and managed to get the infrastructure, let's say, to a decent stage, but still it's not fully ready to output stuff directly to GitHub, to the benchmark.yaml files. It's going to take a bit more of hacking to get that done, and I think we'll continue today after today's working group meeting, actually. So expect more updates on that regard. Certainly been progressing and getting ready for running as many benchmarks as possible. So we'll report next week on this. Again, don't want to share specific expectations because we're encountering hurdles on the way, but in principle the pipeline is working. It's just a matter of structuring it for supporting more and more boards at scale. So yeah, we'll continue updating everyone. Sorry. So besides that, I think we have exciting updates from Jason. Jason, do you want to take it over?
Sure, of course. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay. All right, there we go. Cool. So, so we have gotten in a third benchmark in the perception category of RobotPerf. So I thought it would be helpful to go through the benchmark, demonstrate it, so then for people who want to contribute their own benchmarks, they can have a better idea of like how to set a benchmark up. And if anyone has like questions, we can talk about them. And then I'd love to get your feedback about this benchmark, what we should change, and what we should add to it before we, push it into the main branch of RobotPerf. So, having said that, I'm going to introduce this benchmark. It's a stereo image benchmark. So basically, we are taking a look at the stereo image process package in the image pipeline of ROS. And this specific package takes in two images, a left and a right image, and it outputs some information like a disparity map. And basically, a disparity map is showing like how deep images or how deep objects in front of you are using the left and right image that you pass it. And then that allows you to know how far away you are from things. So that's a little bit of background about what like a stereo image, what the stereo image package does. So I'm gonna go ahead and demo it. I have all of the steps in the README, how to install it, and then all the commands you're gonna need to run through everything you're gonna see me demonstrate. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first step I'm gonna do is I'm going to play back a ROS bag that I've recorded. Okay, so we can just take this command, right, and replay ROS bag in a loop. And then I'm also going to, for visualization purposes of this demonstration, I'm also going to start an RQT graph to see what's going on. So right here we have the ROS bag player node. Next thing we can do is visualize the feed that the ROSBAG player is publishing. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so here you see a left and a right image of a little robot navigating through a gazebo world. I've set up like the configuration files for this RViz, I don't know what you call it, for this a configuration file for RViz, so that like all of these settings will come up if you run the command I showed you to like better understand if your like ROSBAG player is working, things of that sort. So yeah, as you see here, we have like a robot navigating in the world, and yeah, okay. If you want to reproduce the simulation, I have all the steps here. Basically, it's launching like a gazebo simulation, and then recording all the topics that are being published, and the world looks something like that. Cool. So yeah, so as of now, let's refresh our graph and let's see what's happening now. So we have the ROSBAG player node, and we can see that it's publishing a left image and the info for that left image. And then we also have a right image and the info for that right image. And that's, being produced from the ROSBAG. Cool. All right, let's see what the next step is. So next we can go ahead and start our benchmark. And we have a launch file inside of this directory here that you can just do like ROS to and then the package name, and just launch it. So let's take that command, throw it in here. Ooh. All right, so our benchmark has technically been initiated now. So let's refresh our graph and see what we're working with. So this is what our benchmark added to our graph. So I'm going to go through it quickly and explain what's happening here. So we have a node that subscribes to the topics being published from our ROSBAG player. So it takes in the images, both the raw image and the info about the camera. And then what this does is every time a new image is being published into these topics, it has a callback function, which basically starts a trace point and then publishes that same image back to like another topic. So the purpose of this node here is to start a trace point every time like a new image is coming in. Okay, so and that will better help us like contain everything that we're measuring inside of the benchmark, which brings me to like this part of the graph. So here we are like once we are starting to like trace each input, we can then take the information that's being published onto these topics, and then our stereo image node is going to use that information, right? And as I mentioned earlier, the stereo image package, takes in this information and then outputs a disparity map, and that's what we're benchmarking. So it'll take this information and then do all the calculations necessary, output a disparity map. And then finally, when that happens, we also have like an output node, which starts another trace point, so that we can like measure like how much time it took an image to like first be inputted into this node. All the calculations happen, and then what time like the calculations ended. Basically, we're just like measuring latency. Okay, cool. And let's also visualize what's happening just to make sure like we fully understand what our benchmark or like what this node this package is outputting. And to do that, we can run this command. Basically, we're just going to be viewing the disparity map. So let's go ahead and pop that into terminal. And here you can see it's the same images of the robot navigating over the world, but this time, instead of seeing like a regular raw image, you're seeing a disparity map, which shows like how close you are to objects. So like when you get closer to objects, like the heat map will change. Cool. So yeah, that's what's basically being outputted from our graph here. And we can like refresh this, and this is basically I'm subscribing to the node to like view this disparity map. So that's the full graph of our benchmark. And we can go ahead and end our benchmark and go look at the results. So to do that, we can take a look at this command. And to my understanding, I think like Victor, you can correct me if I'm wrong here. But like most of the information is stored within this directory. So we can navigate to that. And then we can take a look at all the output that's being produced from those trace points by using this command. And here you see like all the information from the trace points. I have yet to like take this data and analyze it, which is like the next step. But that's basically the full pipeline of the stereo image benchmark. So if you guys have any feedback, you can either provide it now. I think there's. If we could mute. Okay, sorry.
I just muted.
Awesome, thanks. But yeah, if anyone has any feedback or questions, happy to take them. But there is a current like a pull request to add this benchmark into our repo. So if you want to like go there and you know, add some comments, feel free. But yeah. So any questions about this benchmark? I'll start there.
Well, first of all, I think congratulations are in order, right? I think this is a fantastic contribution, Jason and the team in Harvard. So very nicely done, folks. I think that with this, we're cracking finally the pace at which we can contribute more and more benchmarks. Now we just need to get 100, and we'll have a hell of a benchmark suite, I guess. No, this is looking great. Well done. Good work overall. Maybe a few remarks. I need to look at the pull request a bit deeper. I just had look at it when I woke up this morning, which is I think exactly at the time you were going to bed, because we were exchanging messages. I think very late for you, very early for me. It was a bit fun, and I think I kept you awake a bit longer. So sorry about that. But in a nutshell, thank you nevertheless. So 3 remarks, I guess. First, the readmes are auto-generated. Sorry, if you guys remember, we have this vision of having the benchmark.yaml file, grabbing everything, and then from there, generating the readme periodically. The rationale behind that is because the benchmark data will be contributed to these YAML files. And then every time it gets changed, we will update the README automatically and reproduce it. So I just took a look at your branch and I didn't see the benchmark or YAML file. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I realized I still need to do that. Yeah. I was doing the READMEs manually. A good question is, does it have to, like, in my README, I added like a simulation reproduction like section. Does it have to follow the exact sections here? Can we add some more to this YAML file, or should we just like stick to this and not like add anything extra?
We can add more sections to it. We just need to revisit the source code that takes care of them producing automatically the corresponding thingy. I can point you to where that is happening. It's in the repo as well. There's nothing. I guess we just need to make sure that that's contemplated. It's particularly as living in. I think if you go to, Mhm. I probably need to double check this.
No, yeah, no problem, no problem.
Yeah, but nevertheless, just keep in mind that, please. So adding the benchmark.yaml file is probably important.
Yes, yes,
Uh,
100%.
also, take note of the fact that if you put like fancy GIFs or images, that they may need to get added also into the YAML file in a specific way.
Mhm.
Something worth noting as well.
Okay.
Then I noted in your source code that you rewrote input and output components from the benchmark. So at the end of the day, the idea is that we should have a common sort of like package which has input and output general components. If it's general purpose images going in and out, we should reuse this because
Okay. Okay, yeah, yeah. So the reason I rewrote the image component is so that I can like subscribe to two different topics of images. But like now that I'm thinking about it, maybe I could have just created two of those image components.
exactly.
Okay, but then I also created like a disparity input output component because the message type that's being published by the stereo image like process package is of type like disparity or something. It's not like an image.
Yeah, that with that I agree.
Okay.
My remark was more towards let's try to reuse these general components because at some point we will need to revisit this input and output bits and just push it to a common ROS package.
Mhm.
And then have most of the benchmarks reutilize things or contribute input and output components to that instead of like enlarging the amount of code that just gets rewritten again and again. So for the input components, you can reuse the one that we have in, I think it's A1, and you can just use remapping for changing the topic names. That's as far as it gets. We should
Got it.
add.
That brings me to like one quick question. Sorry to interrupt. But wait, where's my benchmark? Oh, I can just like look at it here. So I added a trace point for each of the images, like 2 trace points. Is that okay, or should we just have like 1 trace point?
That's a good question, and I guess that brings me to whether we need a new component or not for input data. I need to think about that a bit more. In principle, I guess if it's just an image trace point, it's an image trace point. I don't think we need to know which one is what. We just need to account for the fact that there's 2 trace points before the actual benchmark starts, like 2 identical image trace points. But that is something that you will figure out once you start analyzing the data, and that's the last comment I
Yeah.
get, which was some sort of like input regarding you do produce your script for analyzing things. Take a look at what was produced by A1, which is essentially building a launch file which just leverages Babel trace, and much of that you would be able to just reutilize.
Yeah.
So where they are analyzed exactly, and much of that could be reutilized. Much of which might not be useful, but you decide that on your own. Indeed.
Gotcha.
So yeah, no. Overall, I'm excited about this. I don't mind getting this inside now that has been cleaned up. But it's up to you, Jason. Would you like to maybe work a bit more on the analyzing and then we merge it all, or would you prefer that we get this in right now?
I don't mind either way. Honestly, I'll leave that up to you, whichever way you think, whatever workflow you think is best. I can go ahead and like clean it up, and then we can just do one.
Let's do it like that then. Let's just have a look at it, see if you can reutilize the components for input images at least, and then ping me, and we'll get it in.
Okay, sounds great.
Awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
I think one minor bit is I think I also saw the template that you added as part of this pull request. Is that right? or did you remove that?
Yes. Oh yeah, I was going to talk about that. Thanks for reminding me. Let me just pull it up real quick. So so last time we were talking about we don't want to have overlapping, like people working on the same benchmarks. We kind of want to know what's what the community is doing, right? So we created a template to create an issue. So if you go to like once this is like merged with the real fork, you can go to the issues tab and then create a new tab. Create a new issue, and then you can use the new RobotPerf benchmark in progress announcement issue template. And basically what that will do is have you answer a few questions, which is like specify the ROS package you're working on, provide a link to that ROS package, like what category does it fall under, like what metric are you planning to measure, the estimated date of completion, hardware you're going to use to run the reference implementation, and then some information about the person who's submitting the benchmark. But this is this is a draft, so happy to get some feedback about what an issue template should look like. Yep.
So my feedback on this is fantastic. I think it's what we want, and I'm very happy to get this in right away. My only comment would be if you can remove this from the existing pull request and push it into a different pull request, we'll get that right away inside.
Okay.
And if anyone has any contributions to this like template, do feel free to submit any other follow-up for pull request on it. I can see some like minor bits that I probably will sharpen a bit, but overall, I think this is fantastic, and this is exactly what we want. So yeah, if you can submit that in a different pull request, just to make sure we keep things tidy, that would be fantastic.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, I think we have somebody there. Andres.
Can I go? I
Go.
have a quick question. Why you need to know about the organization and then the person? In general, we don't. To be honest, we don't care too much. We care about the content and what is the issue, like more about the context. And then, as Victor said, beginning is perfect, I think.
Yeah, I mean that's a great question. The reasoning behind this is that we would like RobotPerf to be utilized by our community, and we think that one of the major steps to get a benchmark like popular is to get some like the big players in the room. Not to say that like we're restricting people from submitting benchmarks, but I think it is definitely helpful for RobotPerf to be like taken very seriously, to have like some of the big robot community members contribute to this benchmark. And Victor, let me know if that like aligns with your vision.
Yeah, I can give you another an example later offline maybe.
Sure.
Because we use as well from the OE40 like template like this when people want to create issues and then give us like the context, which like machine as you mentioned, like the hardware, how you can produce like the steps, if you can to reproduce these things, etc. Yeah, I can give you some insight definitely.
Cool. Yeah, I'd love to chat.
Regarding your benchmark, which platform you use?
I was using like a RTX. Well, actually, I wasn't using like a GPU. I was just using a regular CPU. I can add like the specifications of it to the benchmark once I have the results. I was planning to do that once, like I kind of analyze and like get a number for that latency.
I will
nothing special.
I will share some minor comment about the your PR, but yeah, we will do.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. You can throw it into that pull request, and we can continue the conversation there.
Thanks. Well done.
One option.
Go for it.
one option here, like for getting the information, we could just keep just mention in bracket that organization name is optional, something like that. So we just cater to both.
Yeah, I mean, so on that regard, again, everyone's welcome to include whatever they want. We won't punish someone who doesn't want to describe his organization or her organization. But I do think that there's merit in what Jason was describing, in the sense that just to make sure we coordinate amongst ourselves, but also down the road, provided this grows in popularity. I think it's great that maybe there are various divisions within your big organization that are working on benchmarks actually, and you would want to know who is working on that. So that's one good reason. Also, for competitive reasons, it's fantastic to show that there's big or small players putting their resources into a specific direction. That gives not only business insights, but also interest insights from a community perspective. So I think there's good reasons why. It's up to everyone opening a ticket. Again, it's just a way to show interest and describe that you are working in this direction. Hopefully people will maintain their tickets and they will give updates and so on and so forth. But yeah, that we cannot force anyone. This is a community, and it's kind of like best effort at this stage, at least. So yeah, no, I would support. Let's nevertheless move the discussion to the pull request. Same with regard the benchmark, and just kudos for Jason and team. Nicely done. Keep it up. And
I also want to thank you, Pratik. No, definitely, I was definitely stuck at that, publishing the censored data. So thank you so much for that help. Definitely want to give you a shout out for that.
it's awesome that we have interact cooperations in here within the group. So very much appreciated. All right, so I think we reached the top of the half an hour, folks. So let's meet next week. Hopefully we'll bring some more updates and move forward with more benchmarks. Looking forward. Thank you, everyone. Have a good one. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.